It's actually been on the agenda at Carlson for a long time now. It's what's seen as a kind of emerging segment, horrible industry terminology, but upscale select. And it's really taken time for it to come through, and there's a bit of, if you'll pardon the expression, every dog having its day. And it's about a kind of tipping point, if we continue to use cliches, in terms of the kind of millennials beginning to take hold of the market. And not only the millennials, because we believe it's much wider than just a generational thing. It's a whole change in attitudes really coming off the back of the recession and how quickly that's growing. So there's, if you want some of the statistics just here in the US, they represent 21% of the market. There'll be 100 million of them within the next few years, and it's a hugely kind of growing sector. And so Radisson Red is in direct response to their needs. And it also, by its very kind of nature, is an interesting kind of development and return on investment model as well.
So effectively it's a hip, cool version of Radisson Blue that's very cost effective for developers?
Yep, it's a kind of baby blue. And it's cost effective because it takes out some of the kind of big bits that a Radisson Blue will have, so it doesn't focus at all on big meetings or any of that kind of in service that goes with that.
So will they all be quite similar? I mean, you've been saying here that you'll have different versions for Europe, Asia Pacific and America, but the bones are going to be the same, right?
The bones are the same. We're acutely aware of the kind of cultural differences, so we started the model, we built the model for the US market to begin with, and now we're looking to see how that adapts across other markets. We're further advanced in some than we are in others, but it's pretty well developed for Europe, Middle East and Africa, but we know that once we come into Asia Pacific, there's kind of still pretty strong variances within full service to select service, and some of the brands kind of play out with their own kind of segments.
In terms of what's happening going forward, you're giving yourselves another challenge. You're going into the independent luxury space with a new collection. Tell us about that.
So we're going into kind of, as you call it, luxury independent, the collection market with Corvus. We play in the edges of that just now, James. So it doesn't hold any fear for us at all. It's a blatant gap within our development portfolio. And so we see it as a big opportunity just now. People are wanting to buy kind of very individual, very independent experiences, but yet these independent and individual properties need the backing of a system. And so we hope we can bring the system to them, but also kind of through the kind of cultural aspects of Corvus, bring a kind of red line through them all as well, which will make sense from a collection point of view.
And in that upscale segment, you've been reimagining Radisson. How's that going along, and what have you got to report?
So it's predominantly a US project that where, like most US brands, not just in hotels and kind of every sector, it's automotive or other sectors, they've found themselves kind of lagging behind from a kind of competitive point of view on a global basis. And so it's really about bringing that brand back to a really kind of competitive level and back to almost a kind of really kind of global standard. So it kind of aligns much better with the majority of the Asia Pacific properties, for example, now. And it's really beginning to carve out a bit of a niche for itself here in the US as well. It comes under this kind of caring, sharing and daring banner. Big soft elements in terms of kind of service again and culture of the staff. So yeah, we're pleased with the progress we've made there, and from a growth point of view as well. We've kind of really turned the corner and really starting to add some good properties there.
So you could have come up and created some quirky, strange, outrageous name for your new Radisson Red. What was the big decision to stay with the Radisson brand and really push it?
Red's pretty quirky. Strange. It kind of took us a long time to kind of arrive at the decision, but in the end there wasn't really a whole lot of debate. It becomes more and more difficult to gain any share of voice out there at all from a kind of marketing and kind of broadcast point of view. And if we can't take any halo off all the different tiers now, so whether it's Radisson, Radisson Blue or Radisson Red, it's there to take, and there's a whole kind of cross fertilisation that we can get from it as well.